Ravi Shankar Prasad, thank you for joining us on the News Hour tonight. Vinod Mehta, thank you very much. Kiran Bedi, Vinod Sharma, political editor of the Hindustan Times, Jay Panda of the BJD, and CPI leader Gurudas Dasgupta, thank you. Consensus or no consensus? Mr. Prasad, appears that you have arrived at a consensus, or you are reaching a consensus very quickly with the Congress party on this one.
No, let me make one thing very clear. I don't know how the ministers have said consensus part. The only consensus is to have the political process of passing the bill through the instrument of parliament, which is the right place to do so. Having said that, our leaders in that interaction very categorically stated, inside and outside, the BJP has serious reservations on the content of the bill, on the powers of the bill, on the way in which appointment process heavily skewed in favor of the government, all have been laid down. So we have very serious reservations on a whole range of issues. Secondly, and that's indeed very important, I don't know what is the draft of this bill. A draft has to be a cabinet approved draft or by the PM's approved draft. That is what constitutionally speaking a draft has to be. This draft has been prepared by 3-4 eminent members who are sitting in the consultative process, and Kapil Sibal has publicly stated that we don't represent the government. We are the government nominees on the drafting consultation committee, the civil society. Therefore, practically speaking, there is no cabinet approved draft at all on which you have to give our opinion. But yes, the only very limited consensus.
Mr. Prasad, you are Mr. Prasad, I'm sorry, but you are now, that's reducing it to a quibble. If there is no draft, then may I ask you, Mr. Prasad, to what is Arun Jaitley responding? He's written in great detail on the appointment and removal mechanism, the inclusion of the Prime Minister on judicial accountability. He's responding to a draft. He's essentially responding to a draft, which is in circulation.
Mr. Arnav Goswami, please do your homework well. This draft has been prepared by eminent ministers like Chidambaram, Mr. Kapil Sibal and others, Mr. Pranab Mukherjee, on the consultative process. And they have themselves admitted we don't represent the government. And I have been a minister in the government of India, and you know enough of India's polity. Any draft has to have the approval of the government to become a government draft. That's the point I am trying to say. Therefore, the only consensus is that the political process of parliament must be there. But we have serious reservations, and some of the criticism of Mr. Jaitley today is on those portions of the bill prepared by the ministerial committee sitting in the drafting committee with the civil society.
So he's responding. My point is, either you agree or you disagree. But Kiran Bedi, has this discussion gone beyond Team Anna, gone beyond India against corruption, gone beyond Kiran Bedi? Now it is in the political domain. Has it moved out of your domain completely, now that the politicians are discussing it in detailed meetings?
Absolutely. We are very happy it has. That is where it belongs. We were only a stopgap arrangement. As I said, we were fostering an orphan child. The child is now born and growing up, and it's going home to where it belongs. It's going to the parliament, and it's going back to uncles and aunties, which are the politicians and elected representatives. We were never wanting to keep the bill of the child. We only parented the child as long as nobody was mothering the child. So once the child has found the uncles and aunties,
then why is Anna planning another fast?
We are very happy.
Why is Anna planning another fast?
Anna remains a foster. Anna remains the foster father. Anna actually picked up an abandoned child, and he will not take the eye off the abandoned child. He would want to see. What I'm saying is, Anna will keep a watch. Anna will keep a watch on the way, with the seriousness. The seriousness and the speed at which
Anna
the parliamentarians consider.
Though you want to take the child forward, my question to you, has Team Anna now given up this issue? Let the politicians handle it. You said yes, but on Anna you said no. I want your response to this interesting situation.
Arnab, don't get me wrong. Sorry. Arnab, you haven't got... Arnab, I didn't say what you said. I'm saying
Kiran, you are right.
Listen,
you know,
I want to put it right.
You people have done.
Listen, I want to put it right, Vinod.
In giving shape to this legislation from your standpoint. Now that the ball is in the court of the parliamentarians, there's going to be great moral pressure on them to give, to produce a bill, to produce a law. And I don't think any political party in this country, regardless of whether it is in power or out of power, can abdicate its responsibility to make the bill a reality. Now the question is whether the bill that comes out of Parliament shall be entirely as per the aspirations that you had or Team Anna had. But I think that there you will have to concede ground to the parliamentarians and leave it to their wisdom whether they want to have Prime Minister under the bill or not, whether they want to have judiciary or not.
You're saying let go completely?
No, but still they have chance to lobby with the Joint Parliamentary Committee, or whichever parliamentary committee is studying this bill. You can lobby with that parliamentary committee. You can still lobby with political parties while the process is on to give shape to this bill. You can lobby with Ravi, you can lobby with the Congress nominees, and you can really put moral pressure.
Okay.
That's exactly what I said. Vinod, this is exactly, but Arnab, let me complete. We are not going to have the eyes off the ball. We will have the eyes on the child, but certainly it belongs to parliamentarians when it's gone. But we will continue to engage with the people of this country. We're going to be traveling around and continue to make aware the provisions of the law.
You have done that. Now here's the fear, Mr. Vinod Mehta. This is the fear. The fear was, especially for Team Anna, that all political parties will join hands. Now, if you see what Arun Jaitley has written, if you see LK Advani's blog, there are serious points of difference. So let the debate be in the political space. In your view, Mr. Mehta, is it time for Team Anna to completely take a back seat?
Well, I think Team Anna has already taken, in a sense, a back seat. But you see, the government was trying very hard, these 5 ministers were trying very hard not to come out with a draft, or to come out with a draft in which in the contentious points they would say this is our view and this is civil society's view. Now they will have to place in Parliament, after the Cabinet has seen it, a final government draft of the Lokpal bill. And that will give us some idea whether they are really interested in a strong Lokpal or not. So the government is still caught in the bind, and the opposition parties have put government in a bind by saying whatever we say, please, since you are the government, you must present the final draft and we will judge your intentions. We will see whether you are serious about the Lokpal by the draft before it goes to the standing committee. The final draft will give us some idea whether this government is serious or not. So wait for the final draft after the Cabinet has seen it, and the government was trying very hard not to do that, but they haven't evaded that responsibility.
No,
as far as Team Anna is concerned, they still have this threat that once they see the first draft from the Cabinet, they will say, well, this is a weak bill, so Anna is going on a fast. But then the government will say this is not the final bill, it hasn't been on the standing committee. So I fear Team Anna Hazare's position has been slightly undermined and the ball has been taken away from him and put in the government's and the Parliament's court, and Team Anna can only protest now, they can do nothing. But if they protest too early, if they say too early that this is a bad bill, then the government will say, listen, these people are threatening us. So Team Anna is in a bit of a bind.
I get your point. Gurudas Dasgupta, what is the role of Team Anna in your view after this? A. And B, you've seen the position on the inclusion of the Prime Minister. I find it interesting that both you and Ravi Shankar Prasad tonight are for the inclusion of the Prime Minister under the Lokpal. The BJP has given some riders. Will you come together in Parliament?
The position is very clear. We stand for an effective Lokpal. The concept of Lokpal was on the national agenda for more than a decade. No government, whether BJP or Congress, had ever brought any draft to the Parliament for approval and discussion. It is for the first time that a commitment has been made, as it was decided in the all-party meeting, that government will table the bill, no question of draft. Government will table the bill in the Parliament in the monsoon session. And we have categorically stated in the meeting that there has to be a time frame. I suggested, let the bill be tabled in monsoon session, let the bill be passed in the winter session. Whether it will go to the standing committee or to a select committee, or it will be discussed in the Parliament and then passed, it depends on the will of the Parliament. It is not Mr. Hazare alone who is very...
Is there a consensus,
please,
Mr.
please,
Dasgupta, or is there a log jam? Is there a consensus or a log jam, Mr. Dasgupta, on the inclusion of the Prime Minister?
No, we did not discuss the content of the bill, because we do not think the bill as prepared by 5 ministers is a bill at all. In the constitutional nomenclature, a bill becomes a bill when it is passed by the cabinet. Since it was not passed by the cabinet, therefore we did not take into cognizance whatever was presented before us by Mr. Pranab Mukherjee. We do not take that into cognizance. We shall take only that.
Jay Panda, in that case, there is no point, and I'm coming back to you, Ravi Shankar Prasad, people will get very confused. Then there is no point of convergence, there is no point of divergence. In that case, we don't have a bill. In that case, this country for the last 6 months has debated this endlessly, and we are debating something ad nauseum which does not exist. I don't know this position, how valid this is. Jay Panda, for the opposition to take, there are issues. The opposition can be accused of building up a technical argument to avoid taking a position.
No, Arnab, there is no technical argument. Let me point out, as far as my party is concerned, we are very much in favor of a very strong Lokpal bill. Having said that, it is impossible for us to comment on a hypothetical bill. The cart has been put before the horse. If the opposition was to be consulted, we should have been consulted from day one. Now an unofficial draft is circulating, and as you have heard the other members, other politicians on this panel point out, we don't have a government draft. So what exactly do you expect me to comment on? The way we work is we call a party meeting when we have an official draft in front of us, and then we can respond to specific clauses. But all I will say is that we should be grateful to Anna Hazare and the civil society team for having ignited the issue.
Again, at the risk of incurring your wrath, and the wrath of Mr. Ravi Shankar Prasad, how can you keep saying there is no draft, technically nothing has been argued? You know the issues, the appointment and removal mechanism, the inclusion of the Prime Minister, judicial accountability, investigation of members of Parliament. We've debated this ad nauseum. It seems the opposition has decided to come together to avoid taking a position.
No, let me respond to that. Arnab, let me respond to that. Of course, these issues are all in the public domain, and we are all aware of it. Let me say this. We are very much in favor of a strong Lokpal bill, and we have seen the clauses that have been put out by the civil society draft, and we are in favor of many of those clauses. But we have to have a process of discussion within our party, and for that to happen, the government has to circulate an official draft of what it proposes to put up in Parliament. So everything else that is discussed is hypothetical. If these clauses are not going to be in the government bill, it's a hypothetical discussion. But we will be in favor of very strong clauses.
Draft of the Lokpal bill, which I am talking of the minister's draft. Mr. Ravi Shankar Prasad, I am talking of the minister's draft. It can be said Arun Jaitley is taking a position on the minister's draft on issues that are convenient to the BJP and not taking a position on issues on which the BJP's position is the same as the Congress.
Arnav, first of all, let me say one thing. The nation today is deeply distressed and pained over the series of scam and scandals and corruption. And Anna Hazare and his team have articulated those concerns in a substantial way. Therefore, they have a role, and they will have a role as other members of civil society. Now, secondly, you very well know there is a process of legislation in the Parliament. The government comes with a bill, and a government bill has to have the approval of the cabinet. It is subject to amendment on the floor of the House. it is subject to correction in the standing committee. That is the whole process. Now the 5 ministerial team has got no legal sanctity in our constitution. Yes, it was the government made it for consultation with the civil society. As far as the debate ad nauseam is concerned, certainly on times now the nation is entitled to know the views of the nation, which you have been articulating. Therefore, when you talk of serious legislation or no, the process of legislation as constitutionally envisaged has been there.